I think he'll sit on the bench. Cody Kessler showed a lot of good, he played quarterback really good for the Browns last year up until he got hurt. And so I see Hugh Jackson using Cody Kessler to play next year. And Cody Kessler has shown great accuracy. He doesn't have a strong arm. So, the deep ball is not going to be there all the time. But he can run that short to medium game offense, which, Hugh Jackson likes to play. He likes to run that. He likes his quarterbacks to be able to throw those short and medium, intermediate routes. So he can do that. And he fits the offense right now until Deshaun Kaiser develops and improves his accuracy, his balance, his footwork in the pocket, and things like that. They also have a good quarterback coach in Hugh Jackson, who's known for developing quarterbacks. So that pick works really well for them. I also like the tight end from Miami. Man, he is a stud. I mean, 4.57, 4.6 speed at tight end. Going to be able to stretch the field, pair him up with Corey Coleman, and we don't know if Josh Gordon is going to be back or not. Nobody knows what's going to happen with the other receiver, but Corey Coleman showed some talent. I think they are, building this team. Of course, they're not going to win the Super Bowl next year, but this is a team that's going to be developing, and give them 2 or 3 years, they'll be really competing.
Yeah. Now, Deshaun Kaiser, to me, is a little bit of a question mark because he did not prove himself at Notre Dame. I think he was there. He was in a good system, but to me, he did not prove that he could come in and be a quality quarterback in the NFL. He has the size, he has the measurables, so it's only time's going to tell for when he's going to get his shot. And if he runs with it, great. If he fails in it, I think the Bears have made the Browns has made some good picks. Want to give some more shout outs to some people in the chat room here. We got my man Big L. He jumps in and says, "Yo, my Bears suck." That was the first thing he put in the chat room. Also, if I didn't mention P-Funk, we got P-Funk in the chat room, Sluggo, Big Kev, who else we got? Grego, Sluggo, Courtney Harden. So we got everybody in the building here. Got some more people going to be coming in. But that was the Kaiser thing is a question mark going into this season and to the draft. There was an interesting stat from this draft to me, which kind of blew me away. A record 29 defensive backs selected in 3 rounds, in the first 3 rounds, passing the previous 25 in 2013. There's a long list of guys. The highest one picked, let me look on my list here, was Marshawn Lattimore out of Ohio State. That was a pick by the Saints. What's your thoughts on this influx in cornerbacks? It just seems like they're everywhere, or the secondary players, period.
Well, I mean, you got to look at the way the league is turning. The league is turning into a passing league. Teams are going more 4 and 5 wideouts. You got to have corners. I mean, that at the end of the day, you got to have corners there. You got to have corners that can cover. You got to have corners that are long. You got to have corners that can play zone coverage. You got to have corners that can play in the slot. And so because of that, I mean, I think teams are now loading up. I think you see that. You look at the past couple years, look at the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots receiving core isn't the greatest receiving core in the world. It's not. But they sprayed you out. And because they sprayed you out, you got to have 4 or 5 corners that can cover. You got to have 4 or 5 corners that can rotate around the field. And so I think teams are now starting to adjust to that style of play, where they can have 4 or 5 corners. They can have those, you look at like Seattle, who has Cam Chancellor, who's a safety, who can also play linebacker, things like that. They're trying to find those versatile players, but those defensive backs that can stay on the field in all type of ways. Reason why Jabril Peppers got drafted so high. A player who is doesn't necessarily have a position, but he can do a bunch of utility things on the field. So,
yeah, kind of like that. The description that a lot of people are giving, that Swiss Army knife, that guy that can do multiple things. That guy that can play a little bit of linebacker between safety. I don't know. May put him at a slot corner. I mean, he's very, very flexible, and he can rush the quarterback too. So that's the interesting, I think, pick probably of the draft right there. Because where are you going to play him? To me, that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. All right, at number 4, at the 4th pick, we got Leonard Fournette. For some reason, CBS Sports has him graded at a D. I don't see how you see him as a D. I don't get that at all. I think the Jaguars needed a running back. You know, me and you were talking about this because I could have sworn I read something that said if Deshaun Watson is at 4, the Jaguars were going to pick him. And maybe that was, I don't know, maybe that was somebody else, but I could have sworn I read that. And because to me, the Blake Bortles thing, how many years can you continue on this Blake Bortles train? How many years can you say, well, he doesn't have this, well, he doesn't have that, well, keep giving him a chance? How many chances can you give this guy? How many chances can you give? He's on like his 40th second chance right now. Which I said that on Facebook. But Fournette to me is probably the best all-around running back in the draft. I think he's proven that in college. Will it translate to the NFL?
Well, I have to disagree with you though that first part because I don't think he's the best overall running back in the draft. I think he's the best power back. Put it like that. I mean, the dude is a stud. And you look at Jacksonville's run game has been terrible. They drafted running backs, right?
Yeldon.
They've been drafting running backs.
Yeah.
Huh?
TJ Yeldon.
Yeah, TJ Yeldon. Before TJ Yeldon, they had Denard Robinson. Before Denard Robinson, they drafted the back from or did they trade for the back from Stanford?
Toby Gerhart.
Yeah. I think they had him in there for a minute or something like that. Like they've had running backs, it just ain't worked, right? And I mean, they haven't had to be honest, since they haven't had a running back since Maurice Drew. So they've been trying to find that running back to stabilize the offense. And I think when they have that, I think Leonard Fournette is that back for them. You know, he can run, he can be first, second down. You can still play Denard Robinson on third down. I think he's a good change of pace back. Good utility player. You know, he can also line up a receiver and things like that. But you look at Jacksonville. Jacksonville has gave Bortles weapons on the ends with Allen Robinson. What's the other receiver?
Allen Hurns.
And then they got another receiver. They got the receiver from USC. They got a receiving core. Like they have talent, but that doesn't translate to anything if you can't run the ball. Nobody's scared of Jacksonville running the ball, right? So now with Leonard Fournette, they should be able to run the ball, and that should allow Blake Bortles to get more good looks when he's pushing the ball downfield, and that's what you hope. So maybe you did see something that says Deshaun Watson, that they was looking at Deshaun Watson, and I wouldn't argue that, but I think that Blake Bortles has shown that he is capable of running that offense when they've had a run game, whenever they've been able to move the ball. So you gave him an opportunity. I don't think there was any real quarterback in this draft where I was like, yo, I'm blown away by this quarterback. There wasn't one, So I think you can wait. You can wait. You don't have to draft a quarterback. You can run Blake Bortles another year. Use Leonard Fournette out of the backfield and see what happens. If Blake Bortles doesn't produce this year, then I think Blake Bortles was up out of there next year.
And here's an interesting comment in the chat line. Grego says those receivers gave up on Bortles last year, which I think that's a true comment. And I just hope at some point in time in this draft, they look at getting a quarterback at some point in time. And it may be, I don't know. I got the draft going on in the background. I don't know if Peterman has been picked yet, but maybe Peterman may be it. I don't know, but you better have a second option.
Him or Brad Kaya. Brad Kaya's already in Miami, so
right.
Hey, down here. He's already in Florida.
Right, easy, quick drive on down the road. So they're going to be an interesting team this year. I think a lot of people have been saying that they're right on the cusp of making it to the playoffs. They're right on the cusp of, because they got a good defense. Jaguars do have that. But from there on, I think their wide receivers are good. But the quarterback is the biggest question mark. They've added a running back. So unless you're not going to be depending on Blake Bortles, maybe you run it like crazy with Fournette and you allow Bortles to not be as under pressure and not have much pressure on him. That's a possibility too.
I mean, at the end of the day, I almost feel like, it's one of those situations where you say, hey, we can't be in a situation where Blake Bortles has to win us a game. Like,
right.
Once he's managing the game, we're fine. We don't want him to go out to try to win us games. Like a la like Alex Smith. Alex Smith is a game manager. He's not going to lose you the game. He's not going to win you the game. Right?
Right.
Maybe we want Blake Bortles to just be that next year. Run the ball well, make good passes, But like I said, this team has, they have so many receivers that can go downfield. You got to push the ball. You got to push the ball, man. And so like you said, if he don't produce this year, next year he'll be looking for a new place to play.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that one. All right, let's. There was a lot of surprises in this first round. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of surprises. To me, another surprise was Christian McCaffrey. I did not see him going at 8 at all. I thought he was gonna be a late first rounder, maybe even an early second rounder. But he clearly went to the Panthers. Obviously, they seen something in him. The Panthers have had up and down running back issues for a long time. So, and that's really wasn't even one of their needs because you still have Jonathan Stewart. You have the kid, I think Cameron Artis-Payne. They've got, I don't know if they still have Tolbert. So, I mean, was this that high on the list? Or was this just like a you can't miss it type of pick and they had to pick this guy?
I think he was high on their list. And here's why. I think again, you look at versatility. Christian McCaffrey gives you this situation where he can line up everywhere on the field. He can line up at receiver, he can line up at running back. You can line him up in the slot. You can do so many different things with him. And they've been looking for that running back that can do multiple things to go with Cam Newton. I see them probably trying to run the option again. Things like that.
Yeah.
He will legitimately let this offense become a big play offense, which it already is. But last year they didn't make many big plays. I think he will establish that big play ability back to the team with him being on the team. So I definitely like that pick. I thought that they would have went more with a bruiser. I actually thought they would have went with Dalvin Cook. That's what I thought. And I was looking at Dalvin Cook being that pick for them. But they tricked me. They fooled me. Like I said, Christian McCaffrey numbers was off the charts. Speed, agility, ability to catch the ball, all those different things. So we'll see how he works out in Carolina. Carolina has a good O-line. They like to run the ball. They want to run the ball. Jonathan Stewart and him should match up really well. And then they also picked up the guy from Ohio State too. So, they added a lot of speed in that backfield.
Yeah. All right, so I want to go through some of the notable picks in the later rounds right now. We are in the 5th round, and let me talk about a couple notable picks in the 4th. Let me see. Dede Westbrook. Dede Westbrook went in the 4th round, 110th pick. This was a shocker to me. I know he's had past issues, and this was like from 2 years ago with, I think it was domestic violence, a couple of issues, but it was a couple of years ago. I didn't think that was gonna hurt him, and I was hoping he was gonna somehow fall to the Cowboys. That didn't end up working out, but he's an A+ grade, so I was expecting him to be a lot higher. He goes to Jacksonville, like we were just talking about, another weapon for Bortles. Also, Samaje Perine, he was a B+. He went 4th, 114th. Also, Carl Lawson, defensive end. with the Bengals. And then Mack Hollins, my man